I'm Cobb-Phillips. I'm here with Justin Sylvius. He is an athletic trainer at Shaw University, and I wanted to ask him a couple of questions. My first question is, how long have you been a trainer?
This is my first year being a certified athletic trainer, but I've spent the past 2 years getting my master's in athletic training, and I worked at clinical sites throughout those 2 years.
Okay. Where did you go to school, and was it challenging?
I went to Chatham University in Pittsburgh, PA. My undergrad was exercise science. I didn't really find that to be very challenging, but when I went to the master's program for athletic training, it went a lot more in depth compared to what the undergrad was. So I'd say the master's program was much more challenging than my undergrad was.
Okay. The third question is, why did you become a trainer?
So I chose athletic training because I initially was doing physical therapy. I did an internship with a physical therapy clinic, and it was a lot slower. And the population that I was working with was more of a geriatric population, and I wanted to work more with like younger athletes. So after I did my physical therapy internship, I did another internship with my university's athletic trainers, and after doing my second internship, I found that athletic training was much more of the atmosphere that I wanted to be in.
Mm-hmm. For the fourth question, what is your greatest accomplishment working as a trainer?
I'd say getting to go to the National Athletic Training Association conference in Philadelphia. So far, that's probably the biggest thing that I've done so far with athletic training. It's something that they hold every year. This next summer, I believe it's in Indianapolis. So I'm hoping to be able to go to that again. But just going to big seminars and learning more about the new technology and the new understandings of athletic training is something that I try to keep myself involved with.
I've actually heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last question is, what are 3 important characteristics of a trainer?
Well, you're working with athletes every day, so you got to be able to communicate with athletes. Sometimes you might have to explain things differently than you might the first time. So having good communication skills, making sure that your point is getting across to them, being a figure that they can look to for help if they need anything, if they have questions about something, just kind of having a open door policy with the athletes, making sure that they need something, they know that they can come to you. I'd say you got to have a good sense of humor. You got to be able to joke around. You got to be able to have fun. Because sometimes the job can be stressful, especially if it's season-ending injuries or something that like a traumatic injury that happened in the moment. So you got to be able to keep your cool in those moments, but also be able to have fun with athletes.
Okay. Thank you for having me. That was the end of the interview.
Perfect.
My name is Cobb-Phillips. I'm here with Chris Outlaw. He is an athletic trainer at Shaw University, and I wanted to ask him a couple of questions. The first question is, how long have you been a trainer?
I have been an athletic trainer for 8 years. And I've been here at Shaw now for 6 years.
For 6 years. Okay. Second question is, where did you go to school, and was it challenging?
I went to school at North Carolina Central University. Um, and I mean, there's a few classes that are challenging. You definitely have to study. The classwork for this profession builds on each other. Because the things you learn from one semester actually carry on to the next semester to increase your knowledge.
Okay. The third question is, why did you become a trainer?
Well, this is my second career. I used to work for the city of Durham, doing environmental work, but when I became a supervisor and they had my work being behind a desk for more than 90% of the time, I'm not a sit behind the desk type of person. I understood that there is some administrative work with this line of work, but for the most part, I actually get to interact with student athletes, and I get to be up and around. I love sports, so I get to go to sporting events, and I always joke that, other than the athletes, I get one of the best seats in the house because I'm right there at the sideline.
That's true. The fourth question is, what are your greatest accomplishments working as a trainer?
I guess my greatest accomplishments are really being able to take a student athlete that unfortunately has had an injury, such as a torn ACL, and actually help rehab them so that they actually get back out on the field to play again. And that's always satisfying when you see them back out there and playing, doing the sport that they love.
Okay. The last question is, what are 3 important characteristics of a trainer?
Good question. For me, I think 3 of the characteristics is: 1, you have to be honest, and that means being honest with the coaches and being honest with the student athlete. Last thing you want to do is tell the student athlete that, oh, it's a sprain and you'll be back, but when they go to the doctor, they find out that something's torn and they're out for the season when you already possibly knew that. Also, being able to delegate, or I would say manage. Unfortunately, in this profession is really understaffed as a whole at the collegiate level. So I have to be able to manage myself and my assistant to cover the practices and competitions for 13 varsity sports and 1 JV sport.
Yeah.
And that's not including our auxiliary men's and women's soccer. And the other one I would say is you have to be a good listener, and I'll throw compassionate in that too, because sometimes it's not the physical injury that you have to help an athlete with. It's actually some mental to it. You have to help them realize that they are strong enough to go back to play.
Yeah.
Because in the back of their mind, they're still worried about, are they ready? Can they do it? And helping them realize that, and sometimes it's just having an ear. Open door policy, just let them come in and talk to you, because, sometimes they have stuff they just need to talk about that they can't really talk to a coach about.
Honestly, that's true, because when I sprained my ankle, coming back, it didn't actually hurt, but I was scared to sprain it again. And like, I wouldn't go to the ball as hard. I wouldn't tackle as hard because I was so scared of just hurting it again and being out for so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you have to, and that's part of it is, that's why I'm saying being honest with an athlete, because that helps build the trust.
Yeah.
That way the athlete trusts you when you say you can go back, and they know that you wouldn't let them go back if they weren't 100%, and that they could do it.
That's true. Okay. Thank you for having me. Again, that was Chris Outlaw. Thank you.
You're very welcome.